gentlemen, distinguished guests, Your Excellencies, we welcome you all to the 20th World Export Development Forum 2023, right here in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, in collaboration of the International Trade Center and the Government of Mongolia, in partnership with United Nations Mongolia, under the auspices of the President of Mongolia, His Excellency, Mr. Khurelsukh Okhna. With more than 600 delegates, including business leaders, government representatives, international financial institutions, and representatives of diplomatic missions in Mongolia, non-government organizations from over 70 countries worldwide. This forum outlines the forward-looking vision to diversify trade in ways that are green, sustainable, digital, and organic, and also brings small business into regional and global trade. It is an honor to us to introduce our distinguished guests today, so we greatly appreciate your presence and contribution. His Excellencies, the President of Mongolia, Mr. Khurelsukh Okhna. Her Excellencies, Ms. Ribab Fatima, Undersecretary General and High Representative for the least developed countries, landlocked developing countries, and small island developing states, United Nations. Ms. Pamela Koch Hamilton, Executive Director, International Trade Center. Mr. Claudio Vizzoli, Managing Director, Small and Medium Enterprises Finance and Development, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. His Excellencies, the Minister of Mongolia, Chief Her Minister of Foreign Affairs of Mongolia. Her Excellencies, Ms. Bolgan Toya, Minister of Labor and Social Protection. Thank you very much. Now allow me to Khurelsukh Okhna, please, Your Excellencies.
Эрхэмондөд зочид төлөөлөгчдөө бизнес эрхлэгч, баялаг бүтээгч, хөрөнгө оруулагчдаа эрхэмсэг investors, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning to all of you who have gathered today for this World Export Development Forum. On behalf of the people of Mongolia, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the co-organizers of this meeting, the International Trade Center, and also would like to extend my appreciation to all the distinguished guests who have traveled from all the corners of the world to attend this significant event. I would like also to take this opportunity to congratulate our esteemed guests participating in this forum, namely Ms. Fatima, Undersecretary General and High Representative for the least developed countries, developing countries and small island states. Also, Ms. Pamela Koch Hamilton, Executive Director of International Trade Center, Mr. Claudio Vizzoli, Managing Director for Small and Medium Enterprises of the European Bank of Reconstruction and Development, representatives from various government, private sector, and international organizations. Congratulations, Micro, Small, and Medium-Sized Enterprises Day. Congratulations. Small and medium-sized enterprises, as well as wealth creators from the world, played a pivotal role in the development of global trade, economic relations, and job creation. The small, medium, micro enterprises constitute 90% of all businesses and employ more than half of the world's workforce, according to the research conducted by the World Bank. Small and medium-sized enterprises are responsible for creating an average of 7 out of 10 jobs in rapidly developing countries, contributing approximately 40% to the gross national income of those nations. Moreover,
projections indicate that by 2030, we need to generate a total of 600 million new jobs to accommodate the working age population. Consequently, supporting micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises has become a priority in national policies. In recent years, international trade, economic relations, and the global supply chain have encountered unprecedented challenges due to the recent global pandemic. The challenges faced by landlocked and developing countries have been particularly severe, resulting in substantial costs and losses. Therefore, the 20th World Export Development Forum, organized under the theme Diversifying Green Trade, Organic, Digital and Sustainable, holds significant importance at this critical juncture where humanity confronts numerous challenges such as pandemics, price inflation, food shortages, energy crisis, and complex geopolitical situations. The relationship in cooperation among youth, women, and startup businesses, small and medium enterprises, the international community, and financial institutions are crucial for the diversified economies, increasing involvement, fostering accessible and sustainable social and economic development, and enhancing competitiveness of the nations. Esteemed guests and delegates, we have assembled here today at the World Export Development Forum to engage in comprehensive discussions on various topics, including the challenges and opportunities faced by landlocked developing countries, the diversification of global exports through green, digital, and inclusive trade, the expansion of economic relations, and the pursuit of mutual benefits in cooperation in the future. Landlocked developing countries constitute 8% of the global population, which predominantly consists of youth. These countries lag behind their sea-accessible counterparts in terms of social and economic development, accounting for mere 1% of the world economy. Over the past 2 decades, landlocked developing countries have exhibited higher average economic growth rates compared to countries with sea access. This demonstrates that despite the fundamental geographic challenges faced by these nations, tangible results can be achieved through mutually beneficial cooperation. However, these countries remain highly reliant on the export of raw materials, making the economic situation to be fragile. The implementation rate of the World Trade Organization's trade facilitation agreement remains low in landlocked countries. Moreover, pandemics and geopolitical tensions have disproportionately impacted landlocked developing countries, leading to food shortages, energy crisis, declining remittances, shortages, and ultimately jeopardizing the attainment of SDGs. Hence, it is crucial for us to address the challenges faced by landlocked developing countries, devise practical solutions, propose initiatives, and unite our voices to present at the upcoming third UN Conference on Landlocked Developing Countries. Climate change has profound impact on the security of human existence, and the international community is placing significant emphasis on this issue. However, the adverse effects of climate change continue to escalate. Therefore, it is imperative to diversify global trade and economic relations in a greener, organic, and digital manner. We must embrace advanced technologies and innovations, create new opportunities for entrepreneurs and work creators. One is actively engaged in contributing to the regional and international efforts in reducing the negative effects of climate change, mitigating desertification in dust storms, and improving food supply security. I'm pleased to inform you that the Mongolian government, private sector, work creators, domestic, foreign investors, citizens are actively participating and collaborating to implement initiatives of the President of Mongolia. Such initiatives include the Billion Trees campaign, food supply and security, and health in Mongolia. as a democratic country, would like to continuously focusing on the topic of gender equality. That's why we put into our constitution the provisions related to the gender equality. According to the research, women constitute approximately 40% of the global labor force, yet the labor force participation rate is nearly 25% lower than of the men. The study also revealed the 10-20% wage gap between men and women. And then in Mongolia, women are more likely to work in informal sector, engage in domestic work, and hold fewer management positions compared to men. According to the IMF study, 9 out of 10 countries have legal restrictions discriminate against women, impeding their full participation in the economy. In Mongolia, we would like to further uphold human rights, freedom, justice, and gender equality. And then Mongolian Parliament of Mongolia made a draft law, has been drafting the law related to the promoting employment of women. And then also during this forum, we are inaugurating the She Trades Hub in Mongolia. I'm very grateful to the International Trade Center, International Chamber of Commerce for this initiative on She Trade Hub. I believe that this hub will provide crucial support to women entrepreneurs and make a significant contribution to Mongolia's trade. Also, I would like to say that in terms of the topics, like in terms of the challenges in this world, the female foreign ministers meeting to be organized in Mongolia in the coming day a significant role in addressing the change. We understand that one of the pivot is the digital transition into this of digital society. Digital solutions and e-commerce cannot be overstated. The challenging years of the pandemic have highlighted the role and significance of digital development and e-commerce. In 2019, before pandemic, global e-commerce reached approximately $27 billion with 1.5 billion people, or 27% of world population aged 15 years and older were engaging in online shopping. During the pandemic year 2020, the UN study revealed that while global services exports dropped by 20% compared to 2019, exports of services only experienced a modest decline of around 2%. E-services accounted for 64% of the total services export during that time. Moreover, between 2005 and 2019, worldwide exports of e-services increased by 12%, with more significant growth of 21% observed in Asia, indicating this region's commitment to enhance experiences and achievements to demonstrate effectively organizing digital transformation. The digital economy witness Mongolia aims to become a digital nation. In pursuit of this goal, the Ministry of Digital Development and Communication was established last year. Research indicates that 3.5 million people out of 3.4 million Mongolia's population utilize high-speed internet. 4.8 million people has mobile subscriptions, and 1.3 million people regularly access public digital channels. These figures exemplify Mongolia's potential to become a digital nation. A country with vast territory and scattered population, development of digital transition and e-commerce serves as a crucial channel for diversifying economy and trade. In recent years, Mongolia emphasizes on intensifying e-development, establishing urban infrastructure, enhancing internet accessibility. According to UN study, e-commerce among Mongolian citizens over the age of 18 has grown fivefold between 2020 and 2021, represented the highest growth rate among landlocked countries and ranking among highest global as well. The UNICEF research indicates that the education and knowledge of our country's youth in digital technology have significantly improved, with almost half of them possess general information technology knowledge. Digital payments have become widely utilized in our domestic trade. In intensifying the digital transition, Mongolia places specific emphasis on supporting the private sector, entrepreneurs, and work creators. Also, the development of the e-Mongolia digital platform for public services and digitalization of 806 services from 71 government organizations stands as a tangible outcome of our digital transition, providing support to entrepreneurs and citizens. The digital platform e-business has gradually digitalized various requirements such as taxes, registration, and permits, yielding practical and positive results in enhancing the business environment. To further develop e-commerce and economic relations, it is crucial to establish trust, reliability, and security among stakeholders and improve local information infrastructure. The internet role in accelerating the digital transition. The conference is expected to generate valuable experiences and practical suggestions for expanding e-commerce. 40% of global population is now under the age of 25. To startups, micro, small, and medium-sized business entrepreneurs are a driving force behind future development, employment, and wealth creation. Supporting and encouraging youth entrepreneurship is vital for achieving sustainable development goals. In Mongolia, more than 30% of our population consists of young people aged 15 to 34. The international researchers acknowledge that our youth receive a relatively good education that aligns with international standards. More than 30% of Mongolian people between 15 to 34 years old have higher education. The youth unemployment rate is at 20%, which is high compared to the countries of similar conditions. Therefore, one of our pressing issues in the labor market is to increase the employment of women and young people, providing them with quality and permanent jobs. To address the challenge, we're implementing measures to support young entrepreneurs, like improving their knowledge and the legal environment, establishing incubator centers, etc. The Government of Mongolia has revised and approved the labor law. And then during the conference, many issues that are being faced by young entrepreneurs can be discussed among us, and we believe that investing in the knowledge and businesses of young people and by encouraging and supporting them, we can foster responsible, accessible, and great development. I would like to extend my best wishes to all young entrepreneurs participating in the young entrepreneur competition organized during this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, we have gathered today to discuss supporting green economy, promoting trade and export, creating favorable business environment for small and medium enterprises, including women and young people. We should also exchange opinions on promoting and disseminating e-solutions, expanding regional international cooperation, and creating new markets. We believe that this esteemed international conference, through joint activities, dialogues, and discussion on consensus and include the world for the sustainable development of the world, a peaceful life. This represents warm welcome to Mongolia, the birthplace of great Emperor Genghis Khan. It is to officially announce the opening of the 20th World Export Promotion Conference. I wish you success in this conference activities. Thank you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of Mongolia. Thank you. Now, we would like to invite to the stage for the opening speech Her Excellencies Ms. Rabab Fatima, Undersecretary General and High Representative for the Least Developed Countries, Landlocked Developing Countries, and Small Island Developing States, United Nations. Please welcome.
Your Excellency, Mr. Kurelsuk Okana, President of Mongolia, Mr. Claudio Viezoli, Managing Director, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, Ms. Pamela Hoke-Hamilton, Executive Director of International Trade Center, Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. I commend and congratulate the Government of Mongolia and the International Trade Center for organizing the 2023 World Export Development Forum here in Mongolia. I'm honored to be invited to speak at this forum for the 92 most vulnerable countries of the world, the 46 least developed countries, 32 landlocked developing countries, and 39 small island developing states that my office supports. I thank the Honorable President for his insightful statement and for his important directions and for setting the stage for our discussion here. I also take this opportunity to thank him and the government and the people of Mongolia for their warm and generous hospitality and for the excellent arrangements made for this event. It is indeed also a pleasure to be in this beautiful and historic city of Ulaanbaatar. I congratulate the International Trade Center for bringing together key stakeholders, especially at this critical point of time when we are endeavoring to recover from multiple and overlapping global crises. Excellencies, international trade plays a pivotal role in driving economic growth, reducing poverty, and promoting development. Climate change is adversely affecting what countries can produce and trade. It has become an important factor for international trade in today's world. For landlocked developing countries, remoteness from the major global market contributes to much higher transit and transport costs, and it leads to increased greenhouse gas emissions, which adversely affects climate change. Time has come to seriously rethink the composition and the pattern of trade that can contribute to rapid economic growth while keeping the carbon footprint to the lowest. Hence, the theme of this year's forum is highly pertinent and timely. Excellencies, international trade has long been dominated by large companies, but access to the internet and rise of international production networks have enabled many small firms to enter regional and global value chains. Micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs, now represent roughly 90% of all businesses globally and more than 50% of employment. For many countries, this sector contributes up to 40% of their national income. Through online platforms, smaller businesses from developing countries can connect with distant customers. Despite the emergence of new opportunities, various obstacles, however, hinder the participation of MSMEs in international trade. Some obstacles are internal in nature and are primarily related to managerial skills, workforce capacity, and the capability to adopt new technologies. Access to finance is also another challenge for them, and so is access to information about foreign distribution networks, border regulations, and standards, which are also major barriers for them. MSMEs, we all agree, need scaled-up support to remedy those challenges through affordable access to finance, technology, market information, and other capacity-building activities. Excellencies, organic food has gained increased importance in international trade. This is nearly a $500 billion market now. North America and Europe account for most of the sales of organic products, with 90% of the market share. Total organic sales in the US have reached a record $67.6 billion last year in 2022. Major markets for organic products are growing at rates of 10 to 15% every year. And this trend will endure and grow in the coming years. Consumers are gradually realizing the importance of organic products for the environment, human health, and sustainable ecosystem. Despite huge challenges, the LDCs, LLDCs, and the SIDS are yet to tap the full potentials of vibrant organic farming sector. This requires a major transition in domestic farming practices. Furthermore, entry into the external market is also cumbersome. Regulations and certifications are a major hurdle for organic exporters, and thus governments and financial institutions will need to be more supportive to green transitions of these farms and help them emerge as successful traders of organic foods, where there is a great potential in all these countries. Excellencies, global exports of digitally delivered services reached $3.82 trillion in 2022. This represents nearly fourfold increase in value since 2005, rising by 8.1% per annum on an average. This also represents a 54% share in total global services exports. However, growth in Africa and in least developed countries continue to lag, with Africa holding less than 1% share of digitally delivered services exports in 2022. Digitalization reduces many of the entry barriers to international trade facing MSMEs and startups in the LDCs, LLDCs, and the SIDS. It significantly reduces the transit transport costs that serve as a major hurdle for LLDCs. During the pandemic, this sector has seen a major boom. However, growth was uneven. While the developed countries could turn to digital platforms to continue business during the lockdowns, this was not an option for most businesses in the LDCs, LLDCs, and the SIDS. Development partners need to provide additional and substantial support to promote digital trade and e-commerce of these countries. Excellencies, the LDCs, LLDCs, and the SIDS, comprising 92 of the most vulnerable countries, are truly marginalized in the global trading system. The share of exports of each of these groups is below 1% of the total global trade. Their marginalization is further widened in the new global trading landscape. To address their marginalization, a comprehensive measure needs to be put in place through special and differential treatment. Excellencies, next year, we will have the third conference of the landlocked developing countries and the fourth conference of the small island developing states. There will be important opportunities to address many of these issues as we agree upon a new development framework for these two groups of countries. We had good discussions on the LLDCs yesterday, and I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate and thank Mongolia for its leadership on placing the LLDCs issues high on the global agenda. Thank you, Mr. President. Excellencies, allow me now to make a few specific points. First, we need to build the trade capacity of these countries at a massive scale. Building infrastructure, connectivity, simplified customs procedures, and regional integration are vitally important. Promoting investment in productive sectors, improved value addition and diversification into higher value-added products, and exports of services presents an important avenue for them to build resilience to external shocks, including commodity price fluctuations. Equally important is to support women-led businesses to create an inclusive business environment for all and unleash the transformative power of women. Second, LDCs, LLDCs, and the SIDS need support to build the digital ecosystem to gain access to e-commerce. This includes support for building and gaining access to adequate energy infrastructure, access to internet, digital infrastructure, including Wi-Fi connectivity, fintech, including mobile banking, and developing transparent and fair regulations and promoting personal data protection. Third, Excellencies, Aid for Trade initiative can help to build climate resilient trade capacity and infrastructure and support trade policies to foster transition to green economy and organic productions to compete with other developing countries. Fourth, sustainable and resilient developing and transition to green economy require access to modern technologies, including renewable technologies. Therefore, developed countries need to facilitate technology transfer at affordable cost to these countries at concessional and affordable terms. Implementation of TRIPS Article 66.2 is critically important in this regard. Fifth, LLDCs and SIDS need technical assistance, including under the technical barriers to trade and sanitary and phytosanitary agreements, TBT and SPS agreements, to help them meet organic standards in international markets, as well as to participate in international standard-setting bodies. Sixth, the critical role of the private sector in expanding trade is important. They are the producers, traders, and consumers of traded goods. It is important to put specific attention to enhancing their capacities, and I commend the work of the ITC in improving the productive capacities and competitiveness of the MSMEs. Finally, Excellencies, there is an urgent need to enhance financial and technical support to implement the Trade Facilitation Agreement of the WTO. Research by the World Economic Forum suggests that the WTO's Trade Facilitation Agreement implementation could trigger a 60% to 80% increase in cross-border small and medium enterprises sales. I would like to call upon all partners and stakeholders to come forward to support the countries in need, but those who have tremendous potentials, and we all agree with that, they have tremendous potentials, with their assistance to integrate into the global trading system and reap the full potentials offered by trade, including the new and emerging frontiers of it. I look forward to a fruitful discussion and successful conclusion of the forum, and I would like to thank you again for your kind attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Her Excellency Ms. Rabab Fatima. Now we would like to invite to the stage Mr. Claudio Vizzoli, Managing Director for Small and Medium Enterprise Finance and Development, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Please welcome to the stage.
Good morning to all of you, Your Excellency, President of Mongolia, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy and honored to be here at this opening session. This is a flagship initiative of the ITC, which is organized this year exceptionally in Ulaanbaatar, and we are happy also to have help in cooperation with the ITC to organize it. I also would like to welcome in particular our friends and colleagues coming from Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. They made all the way to here to exchange experiences, in particular to learn from Mongolia experiences on how value chain can be created in key sectors like in Kashmir and wool, but also in trying to establish closer economic and trade relationship between themselves. This should be an opportunity not only to exchange experiences, but also to establish solid, long-term and viable business relationships. As many of you might know, the EBRD promotes, the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development promotes sustainable and inclusive economic business, mostly through the support of the private sector. And when we look at regions like Central Asia and Mongolia, private sector means primarily, not exclusively, but primarily working with small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. Working with SMEs is particularly difficult because they are the most vulnerable segment of the economy. And therefore, we have created over the past many years a set of instruments that allow SMEs to grow, face challenges, overcome difficulties and crises. In particular, we have promoted in this region an export promotion program to assist SMEs trade internationally. It has been very successful to the point that we have actually extended the program in other regions. And the program is a combination of support to SMEs to provide them with the know-how and experience to grow organically, financing provided mostly, but not exclusively, by commercial entities, but also trade facilitation mechanisms which allow them to trade internationally. We also have established a very strong network of advisory services for SMEs. We actually provide these services to thousands of SMEs every year and hundreds in this region. We believe that SME business is difficult not only because access to finance is one of the critical impediments to their growth, but because know-how and their bankability is also the other side of the coin. So unless we solve two problems at the same time, SME will always remain hampered in their growth. We actually have experience at providing advisory, providing expertise to SMEs has actually helped their growth in terms of sales and revenues, in terms of trading activities, and moreover, in terms of job creation in the markets. We're here today. We were all hoping after the pandemic crisis that we were over international crisis that has seriously disrupted value chain and international trade. Unfortunately, we are still facing another crisis with the present conflict in Ukraine. So this has to be an opportunity for all of us to reflect on how we can learn from the past and how we can still strengthen international trade despite the existence of overlapping crises, still the long-term effect of COVID, existing conflicts, climate change, rising costs, and disruption in value chain. So we hope that this can be a very useful event to reflect on all this, and we will be very happy to contribute not only during the discussion, but contribute in terms of what we do best as EBRD, which is finance private sector in these countries. A couple of words I want to echo what the President of Mongolia just said on the importance of youth entrepreneurship and innovation. I'm glad to announce that yesterday we launched the first angel investment club in Mongolia. We believe it is just the starting of a very successful possible road ahead for young, creative, innovative entrepreneurs in Mongolia to expand in the country and international using online and any platform. Last, I would like to announce that yesterday also we signed an agreement, a letter of intent with ITC, which acknowledges our common willingness to enhance cooperation and collaboration for the co-creation of valuable content for SMEs, provision of technical assistance, market opportunities, access to finance for women entrepreneurs, in particular under the framework of the She Trades Hubs in Mongolia. We're very happy for this cooperation. We hope this will be just the first nucleus of an expanded cooperation going forward in this region and across the other regions. So thank you so much. I wish great success to this event, and thank you very much for having invited the EBRD.
Thank you very much. Now let's invite to the stage Ms. Pamela Koch Hamilton, Executive Director, International Trade Center. Please welcome to the stage.
I can see what I'm saying. Good morning, everybody. Your Excellency, President of Mongolia, Sorel Suk Akhna, Mr. Claudio Viazzulli, Managing Director at the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, my dear friend, USG Rahbab Fatima, USG for OHRLS, honorable ministers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you on ITC's behalf to the World Export Development Forum for 2023, right here in the beautiful city of Ulaanbaatar. This is, of course, a very special day for the whole ITC family, from our own staff to our external partners. Today, we celebrate MSME Day, dedicated to the micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises that are the foundation of our work. So right at the outset, let me take a moment to recognize the contributions of business actors, entrepreneurs, and workers in creating a global trading system that supports the Sustainable Development Goals. This is my first time in Mongolia, and like the whole ITC team, I'm really excited to be here. I have to be honest, as a Jamaican, literally from the other side of the world and the warm waters of the Caribbean, we didn't really hear much about Mongolia, but we've always been fascinated by its incredible culture and its rich history. I did, however, learn about Genghis Khan and the great Mongolian empires of the past, Mongolia's many contributions to the Eurasian civilization that flourished along the Silk Road, how the so-called Pax Mongolica facilitated trade in goods and people from the Pacific Ocean to Eastern Europe. And just as a complete non sequitur, in my research, which I do 2 o'clock in the morning when I can't sleep, I learned that 5% of the male population of the world can be traced back to Genghis Khan. So that's just for your information, if it's important. It's so appropriate then that we're here today in Ulaanbaatar to open ITC's first WEDF since 2019. I'll never forget the launch event that we had at ITC a few months ago. The sounds and sights of traditional Mongolian music and dancing, the haunting melodies of the overtone singing accompanied by the horsehair fiddle. Mongolia has set a very, very high bar for the next host country. I could not imagine a more meaningful way to celebrate MSME Day than right here in a country that helped to shape global trade. I want to thank the government of Mongolia for their engagement, collaboration, and excellent partnership as host of WEDF 2023. I want to especially thank the members of the joint ITC Government of Mongolia Task Force that worked so hard over the past few months across several time zones within a very challenging global context to make this week's event a reality. Let me tell you today why this event is important, what's going to happen, and what we hope comes out of this important WEDF. As I hinted above, it hasn't been an easy time for either the global economy or global trade since our last WEDF. Nearly every aspect of daily life has been upended by the 4 Cs of COVID, climate change, conflict, and the cost of living crisis. A historically unprecedented coming together of 4 crises that has turned many indicators of sustainable development into reverse, including further delaying the achievement of gender equality by over half a century. These 4 Cs have massively impacted ITC's clients, their governments, their ecosystems, trade and development, their supply chains, their societies. MSMEs, particularly in our priority countries, have really struggled to survive. That's why events like WEDF are so important. We're here to bring the international trade and development communities together to, as the theme suggests, diversify with green trade. What makes this conference different from others is that it brings policymakers and businesses together to discuss practical solutions to global trade challenges, with development at the forefront. As our usual WEDF tagline says, we're here to do business, talk trade, and drive development. At a time of crisis, governments and the private sector cannot afford anything else. We all need to be practical and focused on solutions. This is not a time for, as Greta Thunberg calls it, the usual blah, blah, blah. We need concrete action to make global trade more inclusive, more sustainable, and more connected. So let me focus then on the event itself and the sort of outcomes we hope to generate from this great global gathering. At WEDF 2023, we'll do 5 things. First, we're going to empower small business, youth, and women. We cannot create a better global trading system without greater inclusivity. MSMEs, after all, comprise 90% of all firms and a large share of economic activity in almost every country in the world. They're the silent majority of global trade. By ensuring that small women and youth-led businesses are at the forefront of WEDF, we're building a stronger foundation for greater resilience. That's why this afternoon we'll be looking at how to scale up youth entrepreneurship, as well as holding our Youth Ecopreneurs Green Pitch contest. It's a chance for lucky ecopreneurs to win seed funding and dedicated support from tech giants such as Google. Best wishes to this year's finalists from Bangladesh, Egypt, Ghana, India, Indonesia, Madagascar, and Mongolia. I hope to see you all for the closing ceremony tomorrow, where we will unveil the name of the pitch contest winners. Tomorrow, we will also launch the Mongolia She Trades Hub, followed by a dedicated panel on women in trade. She Trades is ITC's flagship initiative on women's economic empowerment. We have more than a dozen She Trades hubs across the world, and these hubs provide practical training to women and create a more business-friendly environment for them by strengthening institutions and gender-intentional policymaking. I'm proud to inaugurate a new hub in Mongolia, and I thank again the government of Mongolia and the Mongolian National Chamber of Commerce and Industry for their collaboration and support to women's entrepreneurship, bringing women-owned businesses right here in Mongolia to the next level of trade, competitiveness, diversification, and inclusive growth. And I look forward to working with the EBRD to continue to strengthen this program. Second, we're going to build green and digitally connected routes to trade. We're living through green and digital revolution. The global push for sustainability, coupled with the dizzying rate of technological change, is transforming every aspect of global trade. It's creating new opportunities for MSMEs across the world. It's helping them level the playing field with bigger firms. But only if we are all able to make a clear business case for MSMEs to make the transition. Firms that aren't online or climate-proofed or ready to meet new green market requirements in Europe and elsewhere, these firms will not survive the coming decades. Right after this opening event and a networking break, we'll hear from the private sector about their experiences with our core theme of diversifying through green and digital. Tomorrow, we'll have a dedicated discussion on the trade trends transforming our work through digital and AI, plus great panels on digital transformation and green trade. We'll hear in detail how to accelerate the green and digital transition for MSMEs, identify what types of partnerships are needed to bring resources, and how to craft accompanying measures to support developing countries. Third, we will create businesses enabling ecosystems. 60 years of work have taught ITC that without ecosystems, nothing can flourish. Public and private business support institutions, banks, academia, and training institutions must act together to give companies the services they need to succeed in regional and international markets. That's why ecosystem building is a major topic at this year's WEDF. Tomorrow, you'll be hearing stories about how business associations and chambers of commerce power local innovation. You'll be invited to a dedicated discussion on access to finance, looking at how tools like blended finance and impact investment can help MSMEs find new paths to market. Fourth, we're going to elevate the voices of landlocked countries in the global trade discussion. Yesterday, thanks to Honorable USG, we had our business talks session with the private sector of landlocked developing countries. I'm really proud of the fact that ITC could help our colleagues in OHRLS bring the voice of the private sector into the upcoming LLDC conference in Kigali next year. What better platform for these voices than Mongolia as the second largest landlocked country in the world? Fifth and finally, we'll do business through dedicated B2B sessions. As I said previously, at WEDF, we don't just talk business, we do business. That's why more than 130 companies are taking part in our B2B matchmaking sessions. From yesterday onwards, you'll see business conversations in the margins of our plenary meetings, covering sectors such as ICT, natural fibers, and leather. Let me close by calling on everyone to use WEDF 2023, Today on MSME Day, to set a new agenda for small business in global trade. To reshape the world of trade into one that is more inclusive, sustainable, and connected. To challenge deeply rooted systems and supply chains that perpetuate inequalities between and within countries. Prioritize people and planet alongside and not instead of profit. Next year, ITC will celebrate its 60th anniversary. For almost 60 years, we have worked and partnered with countries and business communities across the world, including in LLDCs, to make trade work for the SDGs. Alongside partners like Mongolia, engaged for a sustainable future in defense of multilateralism, shaping a world of cooperation and friendship. It gives me great pleasure to declare this 20th edition of the World Economic Forum in Mongolia, sorry, World Export Development Forum, I'm going ahead of myself, in Mongolia, officially open. Thank you.